Hey, it's Jim Prevost with Embrace the Shake. It's 8 o'clock. Let's get started. Hey, Crystal, thought I'd play a little beach music tonight to start us out with. It Will Stand by the Showman, who at one time played at Limestone College. So let's go ahead and let's get started. All righty. Good to see you, Daryl. Just played our theme song, It Will Stand. I have several topics I'd like to talk about tonight. Take a bit of your time. Maddie Rose, good to see you. Good to see you. Biggie's right around the corner. Hey, Alex. Happy Valentine's Day to you, too. First of all, um, Embrace the Shakes now on Instagram. Hey, Eric Wilson is also on Facebook, as you already know. And we are on YouTube. And YouTube is Embrace the Shake of PD. And we are on Instagram at PD Fighter. And so we're just progressing on in the social media realm. I'd like to thank my friends that have helped us establish that. Many thanks to uh, Marin Lawrence, who is our media director, marketing consultant. She's done a super job. So let's get a shout out to our sponsors. And hey, Daryl, it's good to see you. Shout out to our sponsors. I call them our sponsors because they work with us to help us accomplish a lot of things for folks that have Parkinson's and the fellow veterans that they work with. And the first one, of course, as you know, Rescue 22. I can't get this screen right, but Rescue 22. I speak to them all the time. Hey, Bob, good to see you. I had supper with lunch with Big John Green, Bob Benton, and Jeannie Harris today. It was a great Limestone reunion. Penny, thanks for coming on board again tonight. Can't wait to see you guys tomorrow at boxing class. So first of all, Rescue 22 Foundation. I'd like to say thank you to them for bringing Moose into my life and for the many things that they do, many different dog-related things that they do for the veteran community. Not only do they furnish service dogs at cost, but they provide seminars and fostering capability to veterans and dogs needing homes. So thanks again to Rescue 22, Angela Connor, Eric Ennis, Ranger Eric Ennis. And we must honor Eric here today. He lost a friend last week defending our freedom overseas. It was a battle buddy of his. And Eric, we've thought about you all week, and you always will be in our prayers. And remember, Rangers lead the way. We also have John Devine with on the West Coast there. Excuse me, I believe he's in Florida. I'm sorry, at this time with Rescue 22 as well. So John Devine, former Navy SEAL, and a purveyor of our freedom. Whitebeard Canine spent 2 days this week with Howard. Hey, Becky, good to see you. Howard Young with Whitebeard Canine does a law enforcement officers canine training here in Shelby in Cleveland County Sheriff's Department. Also, actually all over the United States. So I'm fortunate that Howard works with Moose a couple days a week. Allie Rains is with Howard this week. Allie is a noted canine trainer. She is also a bite decoy. She does a lot of high risk type training, working with all breeds, really in the law enforcement community, narcotics detection, bite and protection services. Allie is also an incredible artist, and look at her artwork. She does a lot of animal art, and her artwork is artwork by Allie Rains, and that's ALLIERAINES. Allie Rains, artwork by Allie Rains. You can find her on Facebook. Incredible dog decoy, and an incredible artist. Next group I'd like to thank is Magic City Canine. They're in Miami, Florida. They are an inmate program sponsored by DHOUT and Applause Your Paws. These inmates are learning dog training techniques, and it's a long time a long program that they are a part of, and that gives them an avenue to re-enter society with a very valuable trade. So it's very good that you could say, "Hey, Roland Hamrick, it's been a long time." You can say that Dee Howard is just working her ministry through Magic City K9, Applause Your Paws. She's also great friends with Rescue 22 Foundation. Uh, Broad River Hemp Company here in Shelby on Lafayette Street. Thank you for veterans discounts for your hemp products. And thank you for being really high speed when it comes to working with neurological diseases and combining your hemp products with the neurological medications that we take for Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and MS. So a shout out to Broad River Hemp. Um, Caitlin Boland from Limestone College. She is a art major. Caitlin, you can find her on Facebook, and she spells Caitlin Kaitlyn Boland. And Caitlin is a wonderful artist. She does animal art. She also does animal ceramics. So look at some of Caitlin's work on her Facebook page. So those are the sponsors that help us out. As I've said before, we don't receive any monetary support from them, but the ancillary support that they provide for folks with disabilities, namely the veteran community, first responder community, providing trained service dogs for the specific type of disability the individual has, is just a wonderful service, and that is free to veterans. So thank you again to our sponsors, and thank you folks for being on board tonight and viewing our show. I'm going to talk about some things tonight. I put the agenda up on Facebook, trying to be a little bit better with information. But I'm going to talk about a wonderful discovery that two students, biomechanical engineering students, kind of happenstanced on this, and it is a tremor tracker. And what these two young folks did as a part of their senior project is they took an iWatch. If you're familiar, it's like this. And what they did is they took the component parts out of it, and then they put a software package and a mechanical package in to the watch where they could put them on people with Parkinson's disease and put them on people that didn't have Parkinson's disease and measure the amplitude of the tremors that they were having. And what they learned is that they were able to determine which one was a Parkinson's tremor, which was a tremor of Parkinsonism, which is different than Parkinson's disease. And to review really quick, excuse me, Parkinson yawning, I apologize. I didn't do my speech exercises today, so, a little slack there, Jim, but I apologize for the yawning. Parkinsonism is that you have some of the symptoms, the noted symptoms of Parkinson's disease, but what you don't have is mainly a tremor, a change of gait, and a change of arm speed, movement speed, bradykinesia. You don't have the slowing down mechanism. And then the tremors, um, what this does is it breaks the tremors down in the different periods. You can tell on and off times of your medication. And at the same time, they take all this data and they can use it for patient decision making. So, congratulations to these young biomedical engineering students for developing the tremor tracker and being able to take this information, the severity of the tremors, find out what type of tremors they are, And when these tremor episodes are going to probably start to peak because they can pick up the early warning signs of tremors coming on, that it helps the neurologist make decisions as far as the individual's care. The next thing is a bit of a political item, and I try to avoid politics on the show, but I want to talk a little bit about the Medicare for All that some of the candidates are offering. Excuse me, as a segue for election as part of their platform. So I did some research and I used several government sites that deal particularly with the pharmaceuticals. And a trip camp, everybody has come on since my last shout out sessions. By the way, Trip Camp is a physician in training. Trip, you're welcome to jump in and offer your expertise. I really would appreciate it. And everybody else, if you'd like to offer some insight on a few things, I'd really appreciate it. To get back to the Medicare for all, and I'm not even going to talk about the funding. Okay, what I'm going to talk about is what this will do to your medical care and to your medical care provider. So I want you to think, okay, about this situation. You do not have an illness like mine, a disease process, and you pay, let's say, $100 a month for your blood pressure medication. And then they offer the law is passed into is passed into law. The legislation is passed into law effective January 1. You are now on Medicare. Okay. What they're not telling you is that the Medicare for all is not the Medicare that we have at age 65. They will actually change the reimbursement potentials of Medicare in itself. All right, so let's say you spend $100 for your medication. This is what it's going to do. All right, currently under your medical plan, you probably are a 70-30 or 80-20 after you meet your deductible. So let's say just for the heck of it, you have met your deductible for the year. So now out of every $100 that you pay or your medication's worth or is on contract, they automatically pay 70% of it. So $100 medicine's going to cost you 30. All right, so now we go on Medicare for all. And now they allow foreign medications into the United States. And the new Medicare law will use what they call, just a moment here. All right. International Pricing Index. The foreign medicines will come in at the International Pricing Index, which automatically is less than the US, which is called the average sales price of our medications. Medications from foreign countries um, in socialized countries, they do not have to abide by the laws that we have for one, patents, and two, R&D, research and development. It takes ours longer, which drives our costs up. But at the same time, we can say that we have less medication error compared to what the other countries have. So this was a study that was done, and it was done by a United States agency, a federal government agency. And of course, you say, well, it's the government, but I still have some statistics. And this was a triangulated study, so 3 different agencies participated. And here's where we are. From 2011 to 2018, 96% of the new cancer drugs that were developed made it into the United States inventory of medications for cancers, okay, treating cancers. In Canada, only 56% of their medications made it into their inventory. Japan, okay, 50% of the inventory. 11% of the medications that were developed by Greece made it into the that country's medical applications for the treatment of cancer. China would not provide any information. So you have a communist nation that can't deal with a virus right now, okay, because of their restrictive health care and their underdeveloped medical programs. Comparing it to Greece, which has terrible medical care, Japan has awful medical care. And then you go to Canada, and the Canadian students that I have at Limestone and the Canadian, the employees that come from Canada that are on our campus will attest in a matter of minutes that the U.S. healthcare is superior. Yes, it's more expensive, but the availability is the key. So here's what happens, folks. So that $100 that you were spending on your medication, that you really only spent 30 because your insurance company spent $70 to contract that, okay? Now, under the international pricing, which is only at a 18% reimbursement rate, I said 18% versus your 70, the federal government with Medicare will pay 18 cents on the dollar for your medication. You have to pay the 82%. So I'm going to give you an example, a real life example. Okay? The medication that I was taking, and I know I'm just going one word after another, but I don't have any parking meds in me right now. The one medication that I was taking, I was paying $74 a month. That's pretty good considering it's an $1,100 a month medication. At the first of the year, January 1, they changed the tier of the drug. It went from a tier 2 to a tier 3 drug. When I went to pick it up, the lady said that will be $824. Wait a minute. I bought it in I bought it in December. It's 74. Here's the receipt. Now you're telling me it's $824. That's correct. And you tell me why. No. Well, it's just going to sit here. So then I contacted my insurance carrier, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and then they told me that they did a tier evaluation. And since my medication that I was taking at that time did not have a U.S. compatible generic, that I was responsible for the $824 a month until I met my deductible. Whereas last year in January, December, just 1 month earlier, there was no problem, but they had to change the tier. Okay? That went into practice by Blue Cross and Blue Shield in just this year. And here's the thing about that. That's the first round of implications, okay, of what international pricing will do to us. And at the same time, and I may be out of hand here, but you know what? You got heartburn with me, email me. Thank you, Affordable Health Care Act, the final initiation of the final parts of the Affordable Health Care Act. Thank you. Okay. I realize that you have folks that have the affordable health care that are on with me tonight might be offended. But since Affordable Health Care Act came on board, my insurance has gone up $285 a month. Okay. My deductible is increased, and I just gave you a real example. So, folks, if you want socialized medicine, okay, be prepared. okay? And be prepared to go bankrupt if you have a medical issue like Parkinson's. Because if I paid full price for my medications, less than 18% that the IFP, the International Pricing, okay, my bill would be $4,326 a month, which would take all of my state retirement, okay, all of it, for me just to take my medication. Thank you, Affordable Health Care Act. Thank you for Medicare for all, okay? And the last thing I will say about that is that how many people will that put out of work? So now you have a high unemployment rate. So there it is. I know that's political, but there it is. Medicare for all. Okay. And there's the statistics. It gives you an example of socialized medicine, medicine in communist country, and medical care here. Okay. That's enough about that. Let's move on. Okay. Some would see this as a morbid subject, and some would see this as like, why do you got to talk about that now? But the one thing that we have not explored since doing this show is the difficult conversations that you have to have um, when you're diagnosed with Parkinson's or MS or Alzheimer's or Lou Gehrig's, autoimmune disorders that are very debilitating. Okay. So I'm going to talk about some of this stuff, and the reason I do that is because I feel it's necessary for folks being prepared. So my past 62 years here, I've learned a lot by mistake, as all of us have. But I can remember when I got life insurance, Marianne and I got life insurance, we were always told have a good blend between whole life and have also term. Term is cheaper. It's considerably cheaper than whole life. Yes, it is. So being a well-read consumer at that time, we got the insurance. We have whole life, which we still have, and we no longer have term. Okay. And here's why I want to talk to you about that. Because when you pass on, your debt becomes your family's debt. Now, your family cannot pay it, and then the vendors may put a lien on you, but that's for you to consult for an attorney about. And Greg McIntyre is a guy in town at Elder Law there that can help you with that. But I'm gonna give you a real example. Okay, here's a real example. When our term life was getting ready to come due, I contacted my agent, told him that I wanted to go ahead and go to a term life and up my policy a little bit, and had to fill out some forms, and then they said, well, you're going to have to go to you're going to have a physical for your life insurance. I'm cool with that. So in my physical, um, you know, they had put down I had Parkinson's. And what's really funny is that when I put that down, hey, Bobby King, my brother-in-law's on tonight. My daughter's on as well, Mary Catherine. And so when I got those all filled out, I got the Oh, I got the insurance. I got the premium, and it quadrupled. So it went up 4 times. So for the same amount of insurance, I'm going to pay 4 times the amount. That's right, Dr. Rivas. And why is that? Well, you can die from Parkinson's. No, you can't. Yes, you can. No, you can't. So we went around a bit, and I said, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to produce 30 articles from the most noted Parkinson's disease centers in the world. I'm going to send them to you, and I want your folks to read them. And then I would like my insurance rate to be the same. Because I find that discriminatory that you're telling me that I've got a disease that's going to kill me. I have a disease that's going to have side effects that will kill me, but the disease itself, and you said in your letter to me, because I have Parkinson's disease and it's considered a disease that creates fatality, that I can't get the insurance that I want. And you're wrong. I sent them the articles, never heard back. Okay? Never heard back. So I tried 3 or 4 other insurance companies, and I've been with these folks for over 30 years. Never heard back. So guess what? Our whole life's working, but my term is gone. So I went from a $500,000 down to 100,000. If I wanted the other 350,000 or $400,000 of insurance, are you ready for this, sports fans? $900 a month. 900. Yeah. Now, if I was near my end times, I'd roll it, but not right now because I don't know how long I got. Let's talk about medical directives. Okay. After the honeymoon of Parkinson's is over, you really got to kind of sit down. Okay. You got to kind of sit down and say, not only what's my expectancy, but what's my quality of life? Who's going to speak for me when I can't speak for myself? Now that's my disease. It can take my speech, it can take my hearing, it can dull down my sight, it can rob me of my balance, my strength, my range of motion, and my speed of movement. And it can rob me of a lot of other things. It can disfigure my body, which it's doing now. And it can interfere with my digestive tract. It can interfere with my GI tract. It can cause some heart issues. And folks that have falls and break their pelvises, there's about a 60 to 70% fatality rate in folks with Parkinson's over the age of 60. Hip fractures runs about the same. That's about 52%, I think. If you have Parkinson's and have had it more than 3 years. So the fatality rate is definitely there. So who's going to speak for you when you can't speak for yourself? Okay. And the recommendations I got from my attorney friends are other than a trusted individual, but an individual in your family that has a basic understanding of medicines and closeness of availability and is able to work in a stressful situation um, when how would you say the stakes are high? Okay. Now, not to put my business out there, but just to say, here's an example. As you know, my son's not around Shelby much, and that's about all I'll discuss for his availability. And Mary Catherine is here in town, and the instructions are if I start heading south, that Mary Catherine is to make sure that they keep me going until he gets here. And then Mary Ann and Mary Catherine and John will sit down along with the physician and really get a uh, no BS assessment of what's up. And then John makes the call. That's his job. That's what he is supposed to do. Okay, that is kind of like a family thing. The men do that, but he needs to do that. Okay, my wife's got enough to deal with me going. My daughter's got enough, and so does my son. But my son is in the type of business where he has to make calls like that all the time. Okay, and I'm not. I know that Mary Catherine could do it, Mary Ann could do it, but like I said, he does this every day of the week. He makes high pressure calls. Okay, so think about that when you add people to your medical directives. You can also add circumstances in your medical directives that, as far as nutrition, medication, excuse me, when people can step in, what type of do not resuscitate order do you want? Okay. Power of attorney. Your power of attorney is extremely important because not only does that open your life up, your finances and all your personal affairs. So you should have somebody in your family that you can trust. Same criteria, can work in a high pressure situation and has faculties enough that can make sure that they know where everything is in your house, where your funds are, where your money is, where your health insurance, your life insurance is, who your doctors are. So there's a lot of things that go along with power of attorney. Make sure you have your will in order. Okay, really simple in the Prevost house. Mary Ann gets everything. If she is gone, okay, and I am gone, then John and Mary Catherine right down the middle. No ifs, ands, or buts. It's just boom, right down the middle. Okay, clear all the debt in the family because we're people of good word, good character, and then after that, right down the middle. Okay, very simple. Also, one thing that you're going to have to do, and this is the final thing on this, is you're going to have to look at your debt versus your wealth. Should I take one of my 401ks and take it, roll it over, and adjust it into my income because I'm now retired? So, therefore, should I pay off all my debt? If I pay off my debt or the major parts of my debt, then if something happens to me, Marianne has nothing to worry about because she'll draw my retirements until she goes, and vice versa. Okay. So sit down with a financial advisor and lay everything out on the table, all of your debt, all of your bills, all of your monthly draws that you have, your club memberships, all that, and sit down with a financial advisor. And my suggestion to you would be all those things that you've done from your working life, all those nuances and pleasures, can them. Take all the funds that you can of your working monies and pay off all your debt if you have any debt. At the most, you should have a house payment and a car payment at the most. That way, if you have a house payment that has death insurance in it, okay, that your house is automatically paid off when you go, that's fantastic. The premiums are usually a little high, but it might be worth it. Another thing is it gives you more operating capital. And then you can take that money, let's say if you were laying out $700 a month for two car payments, and then you're just going to pay them off, you can take that $700 and pay yourself back into that 401 or a savings or whatever you did. So those are the difficult conversations you have to have with your family, and they're not pleasant. Okay. I'm telling you from experience, they are not pleasant when you sit down with your children and say, we have to look at the future because this is what's going on. Um, we need to talk about do not resuscitate orders. We have to talk about medical directives. We have to talk about who's got power of attorney, who's got the backup power of attorney if they can't get a hold of you. Well, who's going to speak for me if I can't speak for myself? Okay. Another thing is long term health care. right? Start thinking about that. If you develop a disease, the premiums are going to be a little bit higher, but you know, your out-of-pocket expenses for healthcare, long-term healthcare, excuse me, can bankrupt you. Excuse me. And for example, last year, 8,000 and some odd dollars went out of my pocket. Out-of-pocket expenses for stuff not covered by TRICARE Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So it is expensive to get older. It is expensive to have health issues. Okay. So those are the topics I wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you for allowing me to go nonstop. I kind of have to do that tonight because my energy level's on its end. So I want to thanks everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming on board tonight. Thank you for supporting Embrace the Shake. Take a look at us on Facebook, on YouTube. All I'm doing is uploading our videos, but then please offer your comments. I'm still learning how to work that. Instagram, please follow us at PD Fighter. Okay. That's I think it's called a handle. And please follow the Facebook page, Embrace the Shake. Comments, add to it, whatever you'd like. We just need to support and at the same time, love the followership. So, folks, I'm going to call it a night. Thank you to everybody for being on board. I know I've said that a couple times. Thank you to our EMS, fire, and first responders, law enforcement. Thank you to our troops overseas. Let's remember our the fallen Special Forces operators that we lost over the past week. The two sergeants first class from the 7th Special Forces Group out of Florida. God bless them and rest their souls. God bless America. And always remember, embrace the shame. Y'all have a wonderful evening. Take care.